we'll do a more high-level overview of Security Gateway. Just from a high-level real-time spam protection, all the security features that you would expect, so your anti-spoofing, anti-abuse tools, flexible licensing, low hardware expenses. It runs on, as long as you meet the minimum system requirements. It's also a Windows-based gateway solution. It works with any type of mail server, as I mentioned, whether that's mDaemon or Ipswitch or G Suite or Exchange or any other Carrio even, including various key features like real-time spam protection, your anti-spoofing tools, just like those tools we saw in mDaemon, the DKIM, SPF, and DMARC, and so forth. Those are also available. Security Gateway also has some additional security-related tools, various different encryption features like RML encryption, SSL, TLS, block lists, whitelists. There's archiving in Security Gateway as well. So mDaemon's archiving feature is a little more basic. It'll archive to a designated email address or a designated public folder or designated folder. Security Gateway's archiving works kind of similar to Mailstore's archiving in that it archives to a database file, and it includes compliance features like legal hold, for example, and fine-tuning of security settings, graphical charts and reports, and color-coded transcripts as well. Plus, for advanced power users, custom security settings via what we call Civ scripts. Civ being an email filtering language that all of Security Gateway's processes are based on. Each security feature has its own Civ script, and you can also create your own Civ scripts. It offers protection from external threats using these tools that you see on the right, your anti-spam protection, DNS, URI block list, backscatter protection, message scoring, antivirus, again, using 2 antivirus engines, anti-spoofing features, as we talked about, anti-abuse, anti-relay features, but also internal threat protection, data leak prevention rules, for example, policy enforcement using the Civ email filtering language. With Security Gateway, you can protect one or more mail servers. So your mail servers that you're protecting are listed on this set of users under the mail configuration screen. And it can be an mDaemon server. It can be an Office 365 server, for example. It's pretty flexible. From a security standpoint, it includes a variety of security tools such as your anti-spam, antivirus tools, anti-spoofing, all the things that we've talked about, anti-abuse. We talked about data leak prevention, weighted detection. So messages pass through a variety of security tests. So there's not one single point of failure to exploit. Chances are highly likely that if there's something wrong with the message, it's going to get caught and it's going to get quarantined or deleted or filtered out based on your configuration preferences. The Civ email filtering language is like I said, it's a filtering language that there are resources online on how to use it. These Civ scripts can be system generated or defined by the administrator, and you can reorder them, change them based on priority so that messages are processed through these Civ scripts in a certain particular order, which you can use to help improve server performance. You have administrative options such as automated creation of domains and accounts, for example, by querying your user verification source, querying Active Directory, querying mDaemon using the Minger protocol, for example. Block list, whitelist, automated backups of your configuration file, of your configuration settings, as well as backups of the entire database. One main difference between Security Gateway and mDaemon is that Security Gateway settings are all stored in a Firebird database versus mDaemon settings, which are stored in those in configuration files. Quarantine settings, as well as message reports, message logs, and charts and graphs and other reporting tools available for you. You have various different queues in Security Gateway. You've got a quarantine queue that's quarantined for the administrator, the administrative quarantine. So this would be for messages that might have been filtered out by data leak prevention. They might contain some sensitive data. They might contain a questionable file or something like that. Then there's a user quarantine that you as an administrator can allow your users access to if they want to release messages, view their own quarantines and release messages from their own quarantine. You can do that. There's a queue for messages that are queued for delivery, and then there's a bad messages queue for messages that could not be delivered. You have a message log, which shows a lot of information here: the date, sender, recipient of the message subject, the message delivery result. Was it quarantined, delivered, rejected? And if so, why? Under the reason column. And the message size, the message spam score, and so forth. So there's a lot of useful information in these logs. And because they're color-coded, you can also see on the left-hand side the blue and green envelopes with the up and down arrows indicating if the message was inbound or outbound. So logging is quite intuitive here. You can search your message logs based on the date, the contents of any one of the message headers, the delivery result, was it quarantined, was it rejected, the reason, was it rejected because of spam filter, was it rejected because of SPF, DCAM, or data leak prevention. You have a lot of tools with your search filter to help you find exactly what you're looking for. You also have access to graphical reports under the reports menu, showing you the top recipients, top senders of messages, top sources of spam, any viruses that were detected, general traffic statistics, and so forth. So useful tool. And by the way, I think I'll have a slide that shows you more functionality with those reporting tools coming up, because there's a drill down functionality that makes troubleshooting email delivery issues quite simple. There are private account options. So each user can access their own private account settings. They can access certain settings depending on what you as an administrator allow them access to. So they may see fewer options, for example, on this screen here, but they can be allowed to modify their own password, for example, view their own quarantine or manage their own quarantine, manage their own whitelist or block list, view their quarantine in the message browser, and view their own message log, for example. So this allows you to offload some of your administrative activities to your end users so that you can focus on other things. There is a newer feature we added recently called the Secure Messaging Portal. And the way this works is you can designate recipients who are authorized to receive secure messages. And when a secure message is sent, that message is, rather than being delivered to the receiving mail server, it's stored on the SecurityGateway server and placed in what we call a portal. The recipient will be given a login, username and password, where they can log into SecurityGateway's secure messaging portal to read the message over a secure connection. So for example, and I've also got a YouTube video out there that will walk you through this if you're interested. What we do first is, for example, we create a secure messaging recipient who is authorized to receive secure messages. We give them, we put in their email address and we put in their name. We can specify if a PIN is required to access, or we want to specify a password for the recipient, we can do that here. And then they log into the secure messaging portal, which looks like this. These are all of their secure messages where they can read the secure messages. And then if they've been authorized to do so, they can reply to these secure messages, again, through the secure messaging portal. So everything, here's what that looks like. For example, if you open up a secure message, and then you can hit the reply button. So everything, again, is stored on the SecurityGateway server. And these connections are encrypted using HTTPS encryption through the browser. So nothing gets transmitted to any other servers. You can also send your users periodic personal quarantine reports into their email, which give them options such as listing the quarantined messages, as you can see on the bottom there, with actions such as release the message from quarantine, always allow, which will whitelist the sender, confirm it as spam, which will feed it to what we call the Bayesian spam learning engine, or what we call artificial intelligence to train your spam filter, or put the sender on a block list. Now, as an administrator, you may or may not want your users to have access to all of these different links. You may not want them to be able to block list the sender or confirm a message as spam. So you can control which links appear in these quarantine report summaries. There's also a link where the user can log into the SecurityGateway interface to view their own quarantine, which looks like this. Now, this is an administrator view, and an end user will see the same thing in the middle, but they will see fewer buttons on the left-hand side. But they can go in and look at their quarantine messages, highlight the message, view it, release it from quarantine as shown here, delete the message, mark it as spam, and so forth. And you can also view traffic and mailbox charts and reports. So for example, there's an inbound versus outbound report. And notice there's activity that's broken out by the hour. You can click on a data point to see, you can hover your mouse on a data point to see the messages transmitted for that particular data point. So for example, at 3 p.m., 46 messages were transmitted total. And then when you click on that data point, it takes you to the message log that corresponds to that specific data point, which is what I'm showing you here. This makes it easy to troubleshoot mail delivery issues. You can further click on one of these messages, by the way, and it will show you the color-coded transcript of the message delivery attempt, so you can see exactly what happened with the message, if it was delivered, if it was not delivered, why.